Girls, tell me the wildest things your mothers-in-law have ever done. My mother-in-law worked really hard to make sure my husband and I would get divorced. When we decided to move out, she stood at the doorway, pulled out her breast, and literally cursed us with her milk. She cursed me, my family, and even her own son. Apparently, that's a serious curse in the Kazakh version. I got pregnant 3 months after the wedding. Before I even found out I was expecting, and before my husband told her, she was already telling everyone that I was so spoiled and promiscuous that my uterus just didn't accept children anymore. My cousin had just given birth, and her mother-in-law refused to let her breastfeed. Instead, she took her own breast and literally tried to put it in the baby's mouth, saying it would help her milk come in. Yeah, that happened. I'm not married, but my friend used to be married to a total mama's boy. One night, while my friend and her husband were sleeping in their bedroom, his mother came in and lay down right between them. She slept hugging her son, didn't care if they were naked or not. She also forbade them to lock their bedroom door, could barge in any time, use my friend's cosmetics, and go through her underwear drawer. Thank God, she divorced that weirdo. I put some food on the stove and went to clean up. Totally forgot about it. My mother-in-law sat in the kitchen for an hour and a half with the door closed, didn't turn it off, and waited until the water boiled dry and the smell filled the house. Then she called my husband and said I was a terrible wife, that a real woman never leaves the kitchen until the food is done. She could have just called me. But no, drama first. My MIL was a doctor. One day she told me to rub my face with the sap from a plant we had at home, said it was a natural exfoliant that clears acne and makes your skin glow. Later that day, my mom called in a panic. Sweetie, do you still have that big-leafed plant? I just saw on TV it's poisonous. Get rid of it, especially with the kids in the house. I was speechless. My MIL really tried to help me with toxic plants. We lived together. I'm pregnant again. The other day she said, I'm not happy about this baby. I have a little son. When he cries, she screams louder than him. What kind of mother are you, torturing a child like that? She ignores everything I ask her to do for his health. Her husband's no better. Yesterday he tried to feed our 2-year-old raw eggs and salted pork fat. She's thrown a grater at me before, too. Books? Evil. Internet? Devil's work. She actually hit me the day I came home from the hospital with her newborn granddaughter. That woman was completely unhinged and still is. On the very first day we met, she told me about all her ex-husbands, pregnancies, and abortions. Then she grabbed my hand, looked me in the eyes, and said, Now you. Tell me everything. What? At first, my MIL spied on me and reported everything I did and said to my husband. She tried to turn him against me, hated everything I did. Then she actually tried to hit me, but underestimated her strength. I didn't hit back, but I made it clear who was stronger. After that, she got scared of me. Later, she secretly drowned the kitten we rescued, saying, It's a female, I just saved you money on sterilization. I filed an animal cruelty report, and she moved in with her daughter. Early in our marriage, we visited her, and my husband had forgotten to pay some bill. There was a late fee. She told me I should handle all his payments and send her receipts, because we're a family now. I told her, nope. If you and Grandma didn't teach him to be a responsible adult, I'm not gonna be his new mommy, or your secretary. My MIL keeps track of every penny her son spends on me. Literally every single one. Once, I told her I was thinking about getting a boob job, that we were choosing a surgeon. She went ballistic, said I'd get cancer if I got implants. I told her, well, at least I'll die pretty. You should have seen her face. My mother-in-law once took my father-in-law to a monastery to cast out demons, right after he started behaving inappropriately toward me and confessed some unspeakable things about his past. He clearly had serious mental issues, but she didn't. Instead of calling a psychiatrist, she called a priest. Brilliant. I was pregnant at the time. There was barely enough food in the house for one person, and she told me, "Don't eat. Let my son have it." Then she went to some old healer who whispered charms over flatbread and later made me eat it. Again, I was pregnant. Another time, she took my photo to a family of healers. They told her I was a witch. Apparently that's why her son lost his mind and married me. Evil forces, you know. They even offered to cleanse me for a nice little fee if she could bring me in. And mind you, she wasn't some random housewife, she was a chief accountant at a major company. She used to insist we keep our bedroom door open so she could check on her son. When he got sick, she'd kick me out of the room and say she'd sleep next to him to monitor his temperature. She even called my baby Kitty and said she wanted to take him away and raise him together with her son. Let that sink in. She would stay up half the night writing notes for me to read before work, lists of everything I did wrong the day before. Like a personal performance review. She didn't have a job, just sat around spying on me all day. When I finally escaped and her precious boy followed me, she started calling every day. Eventually, I had enough. I filed for divorce. Once she made a handmade wooden cross, basically 2 sticks nailed together, and hung it up to banish the devil. Meaning me, of course. While I was pregnant, I wore long shorts under my dresses to avoid chafing. She brought me 8 pairs of her own old underwear, worn out, full of holes, and said, "A gift for you." Perfect condition. When I brought home my premature baby, she looked at him and said, "Oh dear, what is that? Do such babies even survive?" And that wasn't even the worst of it. She poured hair removal cream into my shampoo, glued a charmed nail under my chair, and once drenched my flowers in kerosene to remove negativity. Another ex-mother-in-law stole all my hairbrushes and took them to a witch so she could cast a spell to end me. Yet another one came to my house with her sister to check how I folded my underwear and whether I dusted properly, while I wasn't even home. Once she smacked me on the head with a towel because a fly was sitting there. She showed me childhood photos of my husband sitting on a potty and proudly said, "Look what a big boy he was." Then admired one of his exes, Sonia, such a tall, slim model type with short dark hair, just perfect. I'm short, blonde, curvy, and my hair's long. She also seriously discussed her astral travels, claiming she could feel herself becoming one with the universe. On my wedding day, she looked me up and down and said, "What on earth are you wearing?" After the wedding, she announced that the house her son's grandparents wanted to leave to him, she'd never let him have it. While we were dating, she actually went on dates with her son and another girl. I found the photos later, all 3 of them together. She once came at me holding a cross like she was performing an exorcism. In summer 2023, I had to travel to Zaporizhia, right when there were threats about the nuclear plant. I asked her to watch her grandson for 10 days. She said she couldn't handle it, she had to walk her dog twice a day. So I took my son with me, and she threw a fit, calling me a terrible mother taking her grandson into the radiation zone. Then she went to some bioenergy practitioner who told her that at night I turn into a swarm of flies and suffocate her son. So naturally, she demanded he leave me that very day. Me? Zero belief in that kind of stuff. But sure, okay. Her mother once heard I liked smoked fish and said, "That's food for peasants." My ex just laughed, opened a can, and said, "Guess I'm a peasant too. Pass the bread." She searched my apartment for a secret lover, balcony, curtains, under the bathtub, yelling that she'd find him no matter what. She told me, to my face, that I'd stolen her son. Her quote, "He had so many smart and beautiful girls at university, why on earth did he marry you?" Once she snooped through our closets while we were out and later lectured me that my husband's socks weren't folded right. The day after our wedding, I came home and couldn't find a special bouquet from my uncle, tropical flowers with a tiny pineapple in it. She calmly said, "Oh, I gave it to my coworker for her birthday." My ex sided with her, "You already have plenty of flowers." For my son's birthday, her only grandson, she brought a set of mourning scarves as a gift. No comments. At the wedding, she got drunk and literally hit me with a bouquet. My whole family was in shock. She once stroked her son's hair and said, "I always dreamed he'd be touched by elegant, delicate hands, not these." These being my hands, the ones that cleaned, cooked, washed, and worked for her son. She once grabbed me by the throat when I was 6 months pregnant. She told her son, "You married too early." Now there are so many single women around, all the men went off to war. Take your pick. She kept quiet for a year that her son's mistress had already given birth to his child. "It's your problem," she said. When I first met her, she actually suggested I get rid of my unborn baby, so her precious son wouldn't ruin his life. The irony? That baby is now her favorite grandchild, she worships him like he's made of glass. But to me, she'll always be the woman who tried to erase him. A friend of mine had a mother-in-law from the same dimension. She took her granddaughter to a fortune teller to see if the child was really her son's. The psychic said no, so she tried to throw her daughter-in-law out of the house. The DNA test later said 100% match. When I had my baby, my MIL came over every single day without knocking, sat down, and told me stories about my husband's exes, where they went, why they broke up, how nice they were. When she realized I hated it, she started dropping random comments in front of everyone. "Oh, did you hear? His ex Tanya had a baby girl." Turns out she was secretly meeting my husband's ex and her child, with my son, and playing happy families. Then she called me crazy. In the early days, she'd call my husband 10 times a day just to check where he was. After we married, she started showing up unannounced, banging on our door, snooping through cabinets, and even calling my mom to say I was a slut. Now neither I nor my mom speak to her. My husband only calls her out of obligation. On the second day after our wedding, she sat me down to give me intimate advice about what we should and shouldn't do in bed. I wish I was joking. I'm literally trained as a gynecologist. That was the last day I respected her. She once cut me out of the baby's hospital photos so it looked like her son was a single dad, and sent those to his ex. She later trimmed family photos so only she and her son were left, then whispered in his ear that he'd be better off leaving us, 2 little kids and all. He eventually did. She even drew 3 upside-down crosses on herself and wore them for 3 days while lighting candles for my soul. Thankfully, she's my ex-mother-in-law now. Once she broke into my apartment, got drunk, and used the trash can as a toilet. Then passed out so hard that my daughter and I couldn't get in. Even after 20 years of marriage and 4 kids, she still messages my husband saying I'm not good enough for him, that we're with him only for his money. She once refused to let me into the house because she had guests, even though she'd invited me to show the baby. She literally pushed me out the door with my child in my arms. Another one invited my husband's ex to our family celebrations and said I was overreacting. She'd tell me, "You're just jealous." He was so happy with her. That went on until I finally packed my things and left. When I was 20 weeks pregnant, she told me I should get an abortion. She once gifted me 12 chrysanthemums, the flower people bring to funerals, and bragged that she'd found her son a real wife. She even spent our wedding night on the same couch with us because there wasn't another bed. Everyone else somehow got hotel rooms. She borrowed money saying she thought we didn't need it, and then gave wine and beer to my underage son. Thank God she's an ex.